All right, everybody. Welcome to NorCal Sports Network. Wednesday night, August 7th. Giants back at 500. And we welcome in from the Even Year Dynasty Show, the great Cody B. All right. Welcome, Cody.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure to have you here. And we've got our dueling matching Giants hats. I guess this would be our Orange Friday hats.
Yeah.
That Giants wear. You know, speaking of Orange Friday, I kind of like the Saturday night uniforms, the black. Just, I don't know. I like
those
seeing
are my favorites.
The blacks. Yeah, I love that. I love that jersey. I don't know. It's just, man, it pops. They look classy in it. And anyway, let's get into this ball game tonight. But before we do, let you know you can find us here, obviously, on YouTube and on X, formerly known as Twitter. We're also on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And did I leave any of them out? I don't think so. I think I got Facebook in there. So, yes, check us out, NorCal Sports Network. If you would, hit the like and subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. It just helps us out. And I know a lot of people watch that don't subscribe. In fact, the majority of people that watch do not subscribe. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means they just don't feel like subscribing and they don't want to be bothered, or if they just watch the show because they really don't care for it, but they want to hate on me, or because of my honesty with the Giants. You know, I've been saying from day one, this looks like a 500 team. I could still be wrong. Giants have about 46 games to prove me wrong, but they have been pretty much a 500-ish team all year, not going much below 6 below, or never going above 2 above, I think is their high.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, 8-game swing, they're right in there. We'll see what they do. What are they now? 59 and 59? Is that what we are here?
That sounds right. It's the endless gravitational pull of 500.
Yeah, it's the endless gravitation of 500. Yes.
Yeah.
It is got to be the gosh, it's frustrating. Let's just say that. It's very, very frustrating. So
if you want to talk about an accomplishment though for them, they've won 2 straight games where where they had to win to get to 500, which they always lost those.
Right. That's right. Now go over 500 tomorrow. But before we get to tomorrow, by the way, is an early morning game. But hey, before we get into the ball game, I want to give a shout out right here. Hi, Dan. Our names are Ryden and Barry. We are 11 and 9 years old. Our dad and grandpa watch the show here. So can you please wish my grandpa a happy birthday today? His name is Ron. He loves the Giants. Thank you. Well, Ron, happy birthday. Happy birthday from NorCal Sports, and more importantly, from your grandchildren, who obviously love you dearly and wanted to express that here on NorCal Sports. So, Ron, happy birthday. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and hope you enjoyed the Giants' victory tonight, 7-4. And it got a little dicey, though, Cody, in the 7th and the 9th. Nationals left the bases loaded twice tonight, and wow. But stars of the game tonight, you got to go look at the offense. You got to look at 3 long balls. And didn't Chapman did he get 2 hits? Did he hit, or 3?
Yeah, I think Chapman and Yaz both had 3 legs of the cycle.
Yeah, Chapman had the double, and then he had the infield single. That inning where they scored the first 2 runs, they didn't hit the ball. The only ball that went out of the infield was the blooper by Wade over the third baseman's head. It was just like everybody was just like bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah.
And Fleming was saying that, hey, maybe 2 balls count as 4 softballs hit as 2 hard. No, all 4 of those didn't add up to I don't know if they added up to 100 miles per hour, all 4 of those.
I think he said all 3. If you took the exit velocities on all 3, it equaled 1 hard hit ball.
Yeah. Then he said this when they got the 4th hit. They said, well, maybe that one counts as 2 hard hit balls. Maybe if you added them up. Yeah, I don't think there was 200 miles. What is a hard hit ball considered? 95?
95, yeah.
95. So, yeah. But hey, what a game! Blake Snell comes back. I thought they should have rested Snell till tomorrow, but hey, he proved me wrong. The Giants proved me wrong. He was sharp. They didn't really overwork him. He really didn't have any stressful innings. Even the inning he gave up the 3 runs, one of them was a 2-run homer. He did get into a lot of trouble where he was pitching behind counts. There's a new Blake Snell, Cody, and it is get ahead of the hitter.
His efficiency has been so good the last, 6 starts. I mean, like you said, even today where he finally got touched up a little bit. And I mean, really, he got touched up where, a guy worked a great at bat. What's his last name? Oh God. No.
The guy that hit the
first guy the guy that got the 2-out single on the Nationals. I'm trying to blank on his name. But he fouled off a bunch of tough pitches, then gets the 1 fastball and lines it in the left. Right. And then even the curveball that he gave up the home run on, I mean, it wasn't like terrible. It wasn't just like sitting there hanging forever. Right. I mean, the guy was clearly sitting, curveball, got it and hit it. I mean, tip your cap, like it happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 3 runs, but he still looked good. All the damage obviously came in that 1 inning, and he went back to work right after and shut him down the rest of the way, or the rest of his 6 innings, which the fact that he's getting through 6 fairly regularly right now is nice because we all know what Blake Snell is. Like he's not, he's a borderline 5 and dive guy for a long time. So the fact that he's getting through 6 pretty consistently is nice.
Yeah, it really is because, it's funny because I'm sure they didn't listen to me and I have nothing to do with it. But when Snell was struggling, I remember saying on our show, he's got to start getting ahead of the count. Stop trying to nibble and be fine with his pitches. Just use his stuff and make them hit it because he's got such great stuff. They could probably not hit it. Get ahead of the guys that way. Because I was saying you got to get into the 7th, start getting into the 7th inning with this. Yeah. And lo and behold, the guy goes 7, then goes 9, a no hitter. Unbelievable. And tonight he went 6. If he hadn't have pitched 114 pitches last week and had the no hitter, he probably could have went out there for the 7th and, but heck, no need to do that. Melvin made the definite right call there. But Lou Marson says, Dan, but tonight the Giants gained no ground on the Padres and lost a half game on the Diamondbacks. Yeah, those 2 teams are so hot, but you did gain a game on the Atlanta Braves. And now you're should be, I haven't looked at the standings, but you should only be 3.5 back. Yeah. Let me take a quick peek of that. And just to make sure that I'm right, the Giants are, 3.5 back in the wild card. And that's Atlanta. And guess what, guys? You got Atlanta coming next week. So the Giants are putting themselves in a position to control their own destiny because they're only a game and a half behind St. Louis and 2.5 behind the Mets. So they've leapfrogged Pittsburgh. Chicago, I told you was coming. I told you the Cubs last 2 weeks. I go at the All-Star break, I said, I like the Cubs to be a second half team. They're fairly hot right now. They've won what? Let me see. Let me go back to I got to do the regular standings because in the wild card it doesn't tell you what won in a row. The Cubs have won 2 in a row, but they've won 6 of 10. But I think it's more like 6-2 of their last 8. And they're starting to play better. I think the Cubs might overtake the Pirates, possibly. It's going to be interesting. It's going to come down to the wire with somebody. I don't know if the Giants will be in there. Next week will be very, very important. It will prove a lot where the Giants are. what you want to do is win tomorrow, come home, win 2 of 3, at a minimum split with Atlanta, but hopefully take 3 of 4.
Yeah.
And then you're really in a good position. Where things could get a little dicey is if they lose tomorrow, which there's I would say there's a good chance they could, just because Harrison's inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting. He's tired, I think. I really do. I think Birdsong and Harrison are going to be on fumes the rest of the way. They've already pitched their, to their limits of their career. So they're going to have to suck it up. That's going to be tough. And then Robbie Ray, to me, is the wild card. He's the wild card of this whole team, because if he pitches well, you have a shot, because you got 3/5 of your rotation that's probably going to be just fine. I'm not worried a bit about Snell and Webb, but if Ray is sporadic, and then you got, Birdsong and 2 rookies, basically, I mean, to count on, that is tough. So Robbie Ray has to come back and perform, which kind of makes the Alex Cobb trade still a head scratcher, because you have no other starter. I mean,
I don't think they were going to be able to keep him in the pen is the issue. Mm-hmm. And I do think, Birdsong had earned the right to be in the rotation. And to try and get Cobb, who's, going to be a free agent after the year, I know he wants to start. And I don't think they were going to be able to just shove him in the pen. And also, for once, it seemed like they were trying to not have the kid looking over his shoulder. Imagine how Birdsong would be doing after the start he just had if Cobb was sitting in the pen. He'd be thinking, I'm done. I'm getting sent down the way they've operated. So, I mean, I don't think Harrison and Birdsong are going to be bad the rest of the way, but they're going to be probably inconsistent. I mean, we've seen it with Harrison all season. He gets hot and then he cools off for some starts, and then he might heat up for a few. They're just going to be a little up and down, and they're going to have to manage their innings a little bit. And like you said, Ray is going to be big, and really a lot of pressure on Snell and Webb. So far, they've answered the bell in the second half.
Yes.
But there's going to be a lot of pressure on those two to dang near win every time they're out there.
Right.
I mean, that's hard.
Exactly. Let's just take a quick look at the box score tonight and just see, as we talked about, the stars of the game. I mean, Ramos 2 for 5 with another blast, which was great to see. Chapman 3 for 4 with a hard hit double and then a liner for a home run. He got all of that. And then Yaz got one into the second deck, 2 for 4. I mean, this is how you put together winning streaks, is when you get 3 or 4 guys starting to hit at the same time.
Conforto's getting on a roll.
Yeah,
too.
Conforto's starting to do well. Yeah. So, hey, Matthew, good to see you. So, yeah, you got to start really getting guys hitting in clutch situations. Chapman hitting 248 now. He's on a heater the last week and a half.
Yeah.
And, enjoy it while it lasts, because I do unless he does something he hasn't done in his entire career, which is he's a streaky hitter. And when he gets hot, the good thing I can say about this is, for Giants fans, is it puts them in a position where Chapman's 98% or better going to opt out. Okay. He's going to be up in the top 10 in WAR and FWAR, all those stats that a lot of GMs look at and value. And he plays excellent defensively. So he's probably going to opt out, which you can look at as good news or bad news, depending on how you view the Giants' future. If you view the Giants' future as they're ready to win right now, you want Chapman to stay. If you think the Giants are, a couple of years away, you really want to make room for the young guys to see what you have, because my whole thing is look, playing Casey Schmidt was not about saying Casey's better than Chapman. He's obviously not. But you got to play him, get him his reps on a team that doesn't look like it's probably going to go anywhere. And if Schmidt shows that he's not the guy to go forward, then you know what you have to do in the offseason. You need to go out and get an established third baseman, or make a trade for someone like a Kobe Mayo that could come in and be ready to play. But they are passing that up, and then they're doing the same thing they did it with Matos. Now they're doing it again with Luciano. They bring the kid up. He's had something like 15 to 18 at bats, something like that. And since he's been up, he hasn't done anything wrong to be, he's not striking out like crazy, but he's getting benched. He's 22. Play the kid or put him back down. He needs at bats. It's just mind-boggling what this organization does we're not talking, this isn't the Brett Wisleys of the world, okay? The guys that are, look, I have nothing against Brett Wisely. I told you guys he's going to settle back down to earth. He's a journeyman. He's a good back into the roster type player to have on your team. I have nothing against Wisely. You got to play him for a week, injury, 2 weeks, fine. But he's not an everyday player in the major leagues. He's just not. Okay. And I told you guys in the beginning too, you got to play Fitzgerald somewhere, whether it's short, center, third, second, move him around like Chris Taylor. I like where he's at now. He's playing a solid shortstop. Look, he's an athlete. He's not going to do what he's done the last 20 games. He's not going to hit double-digit home runs. He'll probably never do double-digit home runs within a 20-game span the rest of his career. Okay,
probably not.
I would bet and give odds on that. Okay,
yeah.
But he is a guy who I think if you play him every day, he's a guy that can hit north of 250, maybe 270. He's going to give you 20 to 25 homers a year, and he'll probably give you 30 stolen bases if you let him play. And that's a good major league player. That's almost, he reminds me a little bit, Cody, even when I watch him slide of Trey Turner. Yeah, I'm trying to say Trent. He's got a little bit of Trey Turner kind of like moxie moves in him. He just smooth. You've seen him do that pop-up slide, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Fitzgerald is 26. He's a guy that might just be, kind of a late bloomer. Like, hey, don't forget, guys, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I still think I call Steph Curry a late bloomer. He's 36, but he's got the body of like a 32-year-old. Yeah. Steph Curry is not, has he diminished from the championship year a little? Yes, slightly, but he's still an all-NBA player, and he's still tremendous, and he's going to be tremendous for the rest of his contract with the Warriors. Yeah. So some guys, Aaron Judge was a guy that didn't really make it to the big leagues until just before 25, okay? He's not a 21-year-old phenom like Acuna, who was, 19, 20, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, Ellie De La Cruz. We see some of these 21-year-old kids that are coming up that are tearing the ball off the cover. They're hitting, they're fielding, they're running. Look, those guys are few and far between in baseball. Okay, they happen, but the majority of guys that really become stars, they generally are in the big leagues before 25. Okay, that's my criteria. When I've looked, 25 is the cutoff for me. You've got to at least made a cameo appearance in the major leagues.
Yeah.
And Carson known or whatever he is, I don't know how old he is, 27, 28. How old is
He's 26 and
Oh,
he
he's only
debuted
26.
2 years ago.
And he did debut 2 years ago. So there's
Yeah.
still hope. I think the guy's, there's potential there. He's got a lot of swing and miss on the breaking ball chases, but 25 is my cutoff. So when you see guys that Farhan signs that are 28 and they haven't been to the big leagues, just know that guy's not going to be on the team for more than a month.
Yeah.
Okay. 28, Yaz has been the exception.
Yeah. I was going to say Yaz is like one of the only that I can remember that have debuted that late and been good player.
Yeah, they just don't exist. I mean, the kid that they had up earlier, the Trenton Brooks, he's another one of those guys. Look, the guy they traded for last year that played, I can't even remember his name, shortstop. I think
Matthias.
He went to San Luis. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All those type of guys. And you know what?
Yeah.
They just, if they haven't made look, I'm not saying they've had to be a star by 25. I'm just saying you've had to make an appearance at some point before 25. 25 is the cutoff for me because it is a young man's game. And if you haven't, and Fitzgerald did it last year, he was 25. So I still have belief that Fitzgerald could be a very good, solid player in this league for the next 7 years. Okay. I really do. And he's got the right body type. He's got the right temperament. You don't see him getting overamped at what he's doing. He knows he's not trying to hit home runs. He's just playing the game. And he works hard. He puts a lot into his swing, into effort. And so these guys are going to be, fine. The Giants have shown me that if they make the right moves, they can have a decent future. And it doesn't have to be, just really grim for the next several years. You've got the nucleus of you got an outfield nucleus of Ramos, Lee, and Matos, and maybe I don't know what they do with this Incarcion guy. I don't know if he's going to be around much, but you've also got McCray, which we'll get into here at top of the hour. We will cover. Cody's going to cover the minor leagues from 9 o'clock to 9:30. We'll cover that, and we'll get you guys updated on what's happening down on the farm from all the way from the Arizona Complex League's over now, right?
Yeah. So the ACL wrapped up, a little bit of movement going up to San Jose from there. And then a lot of the draft picks. I think Hipwell is the only one that's actually playing in San Jose right now. Tibbs and Jordan and all those other guys are Christian. They're all playing. They're doing, they do scrimmages and stuff. They do they still play games. They're just not, track.
So we'll cover that in detail, guys. So we will look at that. But the Giants have a nucleus of some guys that can maybe play and speed this up. Fitzgerald being a real key, because without Fitzgerald, you don't have really anybody on the infield that's, we don't know if Casey Schmidt, we know his glove will play. His bat, I really think if Casey was given the everyday job in his first year, and let's say he played 140 plus games, I really think Casey could hit you 240. I think he could drive in 65, 70 runs, and I think he could probably hit you 10 to 15 homers. And then I think he could go from there. I really do. I see, you can see it, and you watched him a lot in Sacramento. You could see the tools are there. You can see he's pressing here because he knows he's probably going to get platooned. Hey, Buster, I don't know if you guys hear my dog snoring there. You guys hear that? Buster is out right here. There he is.
That's awesome. Oh,
Hey, Buster boy. Hey, Buster. What's up, bud?
yeah.
What's up, buddy? You tired?
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm higher on the future, I think, a little bit than I think, especially talking to you guys. I know at one point we were talking like blowing it up and going, and I was all for selling at the deadline. I mean, I thought that was the prudent thing to do. Of course, now that they didn't, it's like, okay, well, now you didn't. So now I'm looking at guys like Snell, and personally, I'd be totally on board to try and get an extension done for him. I think leaning in on your pitching and actually having an identity going forward is the play. Like, personally, I think that's the play. Chapman, I think they're going to try to get an extension done. It's going to be 3 years minimum. I mean, that's the reality. Like, he's
so what are they
well
going to if they do that? Are they going to use Casey Schmidt as a utility guy or trade him in the offseason? I don't know what his value is. There's not a lot of value there right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his value would be. I think I like what I've seen out of him at second base defensively. Mm-hmm. He's actually been a lot better at second than he is at
short. And I love his arm. I love his arm at second. Yeah. When you got to turn too quickly, and his glove on the steals, he's just got a great glove.
Yeah. Yeah. So if his bat, I could see if his bat was really good the rest of the way, I could see them kind of looking in that direction.
Would he be any worse than Estrada?
Offensively?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at their chase rates and everything, they're kind of the same player.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about Tyro that way, but Tyro swings at everything. His bat quality is terrible. So it cracks me up when I hear people, kind of crap on Casey Schmidt, and then in the same breath they'll defend Tyro Estrada, and it's like, guys, the at bats are basically the same thing. So I'd like to just see what he does. Like you said, he's pressing, but there are a lot of good things that he's showing. He's not swinging at as many, sliders down in a way. He's laying off more of the fastballs up. Like, he is, you can see the bat quality has improved. The results just haven't shown up with it. Now, I mean, in some respects they have. He has 4 home runs now in pretty limited at bats.
Right. Right.
Comparatively to last season. So, the power is playing a little more, but, he's just flat out is going to have to start barreling some balls up and hitting at some point. And that's going to be what it is. But I mean, the infield, I think Chapman's going to, like, how aggressively they pursue Chapman is going to really be dependent on, what all of these young guys show.
Yeah. And what's up with Estrada? What's the word on him coming back?
I know Wilmer's, I heard he's like taking swings or something again. I mean,
Wilmer's done for the year. At this point,
that's kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so in your mind, if let's say Estrada was ready to come up tomorrow, are you sending Wisely down or Schmidt back down?
They'd probably send. I mean,
knowing them, they'd send.
They'll send Schmidt down because of the
platoon. Yeah, geez.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if they're going to platoon Wisely with Tyro, but that's just kind of, that's the reality, is they'll end up doing that.
Yeah.
Unless one of them starts hitting, Tyro might just get to play every day. Like, honestly, that's the sad reality. But, is what it is. I mean, I do think Fitzgerald emerging kind of changes the outlook a little bit. He's the one guy that has the power speed combo. Obviously, guys like Ramos can run a little bit, but nobody else on the team is going to go be a 2020 or 2030 threat every season.
Right. Yeah. Like, I think Fitzgerald could be a 2030 threat every year.
Yeah. I mean, he's really tapped into his pull power, his ability to get fly balls to left. And he's not going to hit a bunch of home runs to center field or right or go oppo. Like, he hit one yesterday that looked like he hit it pretty well in Washington, where it does carry more in Washington, and it didn't even get to the track in center. So it's like, this guy's going to be a pull only homer guy, more than likely.
Yeah, he is a pull only guy. I would love to see him. That kid that Washington's got, what's his name? Taylor? No, not Taylor.
They have Abrams and they have Wood and they have
Wood. I know, yeah, and Abrams.
which
But
one are you?
I'm thinking of the kid with speed, the outfielder, the center fielder. I think he plays center field. Gosh, let me
chat bail us out. Somebody bail us out in the chat.
Not Callwood. Young. The
Yeah.
kid,
Okay.
he's a bunting machine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Fitzgerald develop the bunt a little bit better in the offseason because I think with his power and leading off, they're going to play him back deep at times, and because he hits the ball hard a lot too, just above through into left field. Man, if he can learn to bunt and bunt for hits, that will even open up more for him. I'm not saying bunt as much as this guy Young. This guy Young looks like he's little league. Looks like he's trying to bunt almost every time.
I mean, if the third baseman's back, drop one down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be a hit.
Yeah,
you keep it fair.
Yeah, yeah. So, but did you see the first inning when Snell gave up that hit when I thought Wade misplayed the ball? It looked like he should have just grabbed it and just chased the guy down, but he probably didn't want to pull a hammy, because he's probably, you lunge like that. But I was thinking, if this turns in to be the only hit, the stuff he's had lately, you're thinking, oh my goodness, if that becomes the only hit, that's going to be ridiculous. But
I mean, starts he's had on that 5-start run, like I was kind of talking about it earlier on the video I made on my channel, where it was like in a 5-start run he had a 0.55 ERA and an 0.55 WHIP, and he took a game into the 7th in a game. He had a game where he had 15 strikeouts in 6 innings, and he threw a no hit and he threw a no hitter in that 5-game stretch.
I don't know if you saw it, but I put out a tweet that those 5 starts. I've been watching baseball for 54 years. Reminded me of the closest guy I could think of was Sandy Koufax, because we had the Oral Hershiser, the big 59 innings, of course, and then there was a controversy because the Giants actually scored to break that record, and then they overruled it. I can't even remember the details on it, but it was like a bases loaded walk or wild pitch. I can't remember what it was, but then somehow they disallowed it, and it was crazy. But he wasn't dominant. Snell was unhittable for the most part of that 33 inning stretch. He'd only given up 8 hits and struck out like 41, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know which was a better pitched game. The 6 inning, 15 strikeouts, the 6 1/3 perfect game, or the no hitter. I don't know. Pick your poison. All 3 of those were masterpieces.
Yeah. And they were all very different.
Yeah.
Pitch games. The one that he had the perfect game going, he was just pitching to contact.
Yeah.
And, he did exactly kind of what you've been saying, what I've been saying, a lot of us have been saying, where it's like you have the stuff to get swing and misses in the zone, like all the time. Like, quit nibbling. And I know that's not his philosophy. Like, he's not, he would rather walk a guy than give up something that could, do damage. But at some point when you're just walking way too many guys and your pitch count's ballooning, like, just throw strikes and make them do something. And it's like that game he started doing that, and it's like it just boosted his confidence going forward. And I think he found something with his curveball, and then all of a sudden it's just been, almost unfair.
What do you think of this comment right here, Cody, from Adam? They're 9-4 since facing the Dodgers. We'll see what happens next week when the Braves come to town.
Yeah, they're playing good ball, and the month of August, is set up for them. They get to play Detroit, Chicago White Sox, and Miami, all at home. Dare I say, you better win 7
of the 9
games. I don't care who you sweep, but you better win all 3 series and sweep one of them.
Yes,
I mean, probably the
exactly.
White Sox, but it's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's true. It's true.
like,
And they're missing Scooble this series against the Tigers. So they got a really good shot there. You're missing him. And we'll see. I don't know I haven't been paying as much attention with Crochet if he's still pitching much or if they're limiting his innings.
Yeah.
But we'll see if they face him or not later on in the month. And then you're catching the Braves at a really down time. The Braves are just like flailing right now. They are playing horrible. They lost last night 10-0. I think they lost tonight 8-4. They are without Albies now. They're without Acuna, who's obviously out for the year. They lost Strider for the year. Michael Harris has been out. They're not. I mean, Austin Riley hit his 16th homer tonight. The guy's normally a 30 to 40 home run hitter. Matt Olson has only
what's
18
Olsen
homers.
doing? Yeah.
He's only got like 18 homers. He hit 54 last year. The Braves are a shell of themselves, what they were last year. Last year, they set a Major League
insane
Baseball. Was it a National League record or MLB record for home runs? I'm not sure. But it was
the MLB.
It was
and
like
they were
300
like the first team. They were like the first team ever to have like 4 guys with 35 or more homers or something like that. It was some crazy stat also.
Yeah.
In there. They had like a 4-headed monster.
Yeah. And if you look at the stats for them this year, I'll pull it up here. I'm just curious what the Atlanta Braves have for home runs this year, because last year they hit, again, over 300. Let's just take a look here. Complete leaders. All right. Orioles have 175, then the Yankees, Dodgers. Okay.
Wow.
The Braves have 138. They're probably, so we're already 2/3 of a little over, we're about 70% of the way through. So they're on pace to maybe make it close to 200 for the year. And they hit what was the number last year? 330 something or whatever it was?
I think so. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it was well clear of 300. I know.
Yeah.
That.
Let's see what
How low are the Giants on this? Yeah.
They are 19th at 121. And that doesn't count tonight.
That has today.
That doesn't. So add 3 more. They're at 124.
They'll be right around 19th,
yeah.
20th.
I wonder where the Giants are when it comes to let's take a look at another batting statistic.
I mean, they're pretty middle of the pack in a lot of them, other than stolen bases.
Yeah.
They're deal.
Batting average isn't a big thing to me. The big things to me are runs, home runs, and RBIs. Yeah. For hitting. I mean, batting average, I want to see. So the Giants are 14th in RBIs. So they're middle of the pack there. And
they set themselves up decently. Like they get on base.
Yeah.
They give themselves opportunities. They're just simply one of the worst teams I've ever watched with a runner on third and less than 2 outs.
They're tied for 13th in hits.
Better.
I mean, their hitting is not horrible. They're 13. They just don't come through.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't do RBIs yet, did we? Or did we?
I thought you just
we
did.
did. Yeah, we did.
14.
We did RBIs. Okay. Runs scored. I bet you. Let me see. Do we have runs scored here?
If I ever feel like going down the rabbit hole, I'm gonna look up their conversion rate on runners on third with less than 2 outs.
It's I mean, a little better tonight, but last night was 1 for 14.
Yeah, I mean, you can find the
and people talk about them being the top 5 best pitching staff. Look at their quality starts, guys. They're 23rd in the league. They only have 35 quality starts. 35 quality starts. Look at the Mariners, Phillies. 35 quality starts, and yet, I mean, that's been the combination between the starting pitching earlier in the season and the lack of getting key hits, timely hits, has, I think, been their downfall. They're not. Remember the last 2 years they were the worst in baseball in defensively. Defensively this year, I don't know where they stand, but they don't strike me as a bad defensive team anymore. Not like they used to be.
No.
I mean, it's
the outfield's taken a bit of a hit because Conforto's not great, and then Ramos isn't great in center. Yeah, I mean, they're both kind of just below average, really, at those positions. Yaz kind of carries the load there because he's really good in right. The fact that this team has not figured out that they could put Yaz in center and Ramos in right, and the drop off from Yaz to Ramos in right is way less than the improvement you'll get out of Yaz out of center field over Ramos. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. I don't get that. Ramos makes some of the kind of the spectacular plays, but he misses on some of the more, just easier balls that you would think. And what scares me, did you get did your on Snell's no hitter the last out? Did your heart rate jump a little bit when you saw Ramos running over there?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I saw Ramos and Yaz kind of converging, and I was like, these two are gonna collide, and the scorekeeper is gonna roll to hit.
Well, did you think that? Well,
they're gonna totally screw him up.
Well, I thought for a sec that Ramos. I think Yaz said, get the F out of the way or something. I got it because I don't know what was said, but Yaz. I mean, I've watched enough. I know you watch baseball a lot. We're not just watching Giants baseball. We're watching Major League Baseball. He's watching a lot of minor league baseball. Obviously the center fielder has its call, but if the right fielder is camped under it, waiting, you don't have to take it even if you can get to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, the easiest catch in baseball is the one you're waiting for. It's on the run. As easy as most of them look, and most of them are easy, but sometimes running full speed after a ball gets a little crazy because your head's bouncing around and you can overrun it. Your eyes are bouncing. Look, how many times have we seen Yaz like just waiting for it, and Ramos comes charging in and just cuts him off and takes it? It's like I've seen it at least a half a dozen times.
It's happened a lot. Way more than we should see.
Yeah. And the thing is Yaz is used to playing center field. And he knows center fielder is the captain of the outfield and he has to back off. But I would imagine there's been a little conversation between Yaz and Ramos and maybe the coaching staff there. And it was good to see Ramos peel back when Yaz, I felt really good knowing that Yaz, when it was first hit off the bat, I go, oh, that's a gapper. And then I saw where Yaz was, and I was like, okay, Yaz. Then I'm seeing Ramos charge. I go, God, no,
with Ellie hitting too, like when he hit it, I knew it lofted up. But with a lot of hitters, like, the similar contact, a lot of hitters, you're like, that's going to be a routine fly ball.
Right.
With Ellie, it's like, okay, did he put a little bit of a charge into that thing? Is that going to threaten the wall? Like, is that going to be, because he has huge power. But then it was just, routine. And it was like, whatever. All right, cool. Yeah. I mean, when Yaz jumped, I was like, all right. Like that was a little.
Yeah. That was.
What are we doing here?
Was he jumping for joy catching it, or was he jumping to get his body more in front of like a box out in basketball? Was he jumping to like keep maybe Ramos away
still? And I don't know. It could. I wasn't really an outfielder ever, so I mean, maybe he was trying to be more, like you said, with the head kind of going up and down. He might have just been trying to like. I don't know. It was weird. You don't see guys do that very often.
Yeah, it was it was a little odd, and it was almost like I was picturing him like trying to screen out and put more of his body in front of Ramos. I don't know. It was just weird.
He was high pointing it.
Yeah. I mean,
he's like, I'm not letting this guy know.
Yeah. It felt like he says like, I'm taking this ball all the way. and don't get in my way. This is the last out of the game. Do not come near me. But yeah, I feel much more comfortable with Yaz being there. I mean, Ramos is a true right fielder. He's got Yasiel Puig written all over him, his body type, his arm. He's got a cannon. Showed it off tonight again when he didn't even have to, throwing the ball to the plate all the way. He's just like,
you know who has a good arm that people don't give credit to is Conforto.
Yeah, his ball. To him. He doesn't like fling it, but his throw to the plate the other night was.
He had one tonight too.
Yeah,
they had the hit where they didn't. They ended up holding the guy in the seventh when the tying run was at the plate, and he lined the single into left, and they ended up holding the guy. And it was smart that they held the guy because Conforto had him pegged by a mile if they would have said, because he made a good throw. But he's pretty. I think he's pretty high up on the assist leaderboard, if I recall correctly. He's at least up there. Yeah, and he's missed a lot of time, so it's he gets tested a decent amount, and he's got a good arm.
I think he does too. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Conforto. I mean, he's obviously going to be a free agent, and he'll leave. And I don't think the Giants will try to retain him. But if I'm Michael Conforto, I want to go to Cincinnati and play.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm thinking, like, man, that would have been a trade candidate I would have been looking at for him. But put that guy out in Cincinnati, and he will hit 30 homers, I think. If you play him. The guy's hitting 300 this year against lefties. Why are they platooning him?
It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you go off of OPS plus, he's got a 1 going into today. I mean, it probably dropped a point or so because I think he just went 1 for 4 with a single. But he's got a 116 OPS plus playing in San Francisco.
Right.
And OPS plus is the one that doesn't factor in park factors. I don't know what his WRC plus is, but it's like he's an above average hitter.
Yeah.
He's a legit. I mean, the fact that this team took as long as it did to get, move him up ahead of Bailey was mind-boggling to me. But I mean, he's a guy that can be up towards the middle of the order. And especially when he's right, he's one of the few guys that actually has any business being in the middle of the order in this lineup.
So. Yeah. Patrick Bailey, as I told everybody when he was hitting 290, I said, he's not a 290 hitter. And I'm okay with Patrick Bailey hitting 240 to 250 as long as he gives me the solid defense. He
needs to get moved in the lineup.
Yeah, he just needs to bat down near the bottom. They still got him in the sixth hole tonight?
They had him hit 5.
Fifth. They had him hitting 5th. I mean,
what are we doing?
I mean, why are you batting Bailey 5th when you're facing Irwin, a right-hander, and you got Yaz batting 7th? I mean, move Yaz up, move Fitzgerald up, and put Bailey down behind him at 7th. Patrick Bailey is now hitting 249, and
he's killed how many rallies in the last 2 days?
Yeah, he's just.
I mean, I'm not going to go back on his last 30, which he's hitting like 190. But I think the last 2 days, how many rallies?
Yeah, I think he's just wearing down because they're playing him a lot. Remember, he's had the 1 or 2 concussions this year. I think 2, plus the one he had last year. They need to find a way to give Bailey 2 days a week off. They just do.
I feel like they've already been doing that with Casale. Casale's been a ton.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what the answer is because Casale's almost like an automatic out.
Hey, you know what they really need? They need a 27-year-old
Joey Bart,
right-handed catcher with talent to be their backup.
I never understood that. I interviewed Joey in spring training in 23. He's a class guy. I really like him. He just, the guy is hit. Well, I think he's only got about 8 homers, but still, he's not playing full time with Pittsburgh.
His at bats basically line up exactly with what Casali, Murphy, and Sable have combined, and like Reitz and all those guys. Technically, those guys all have more at bats than Joey.
Right.
So he literally could have been the backup.
Oh yeah.
And like that, and that's, I think there's always this big, like, you can't bring up Joey Bart without everybody that's a huge Bailey fan diving in and being like, Bailey's better. And it's like, guys, the question isn't that. Like, we're not arguing that he should have started over Bailey.
You know, arguing that he should be back. The Braves are doing an interesting situation in Atlanta. They're rotating Sean Murphy and Travis d'Arnaud every other game.
Yeah.
I got both of them on my fantasy team. I just rotate them in my lineup. I handcuffed it because, you know, I was losing at bats, and I was like, you know what? These guys there's no number one catcher here. Joey Bart could have played 2 to 3 days a week, and now you have a fresher Patrick Bailey.
Yeah.
And Bart is good defensively too. You almost could have platooned them. Yeah. And
that's what I would have done.
Yeah. I mean, you're 70% of the time Bailey would be playing because right-handed pitchers make up 70% of baseball. So your starters, I mean, the Washington series is a little different. We're getting the third lefty tomorrow. Yeah. Isn't it a lefty again tomorrow? Let me look here.
I haven't looked at the thing.
Tomorrow.
What concerns me for tomorrow's game is it's at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
That early East Coast game has been tough on them.
Yeah. DJ Hertz, a lefty.
Wow.
2-4. 4.27 ERA with a 1.25 WHIP, which is actually better than Harrison's.
Yeah.
Harrison
walks him.
Yeah. Yeah. Harrison's given up 14 home runs too. So a day game tomorrow, ball flies there in the humidity. Looking for a Juan Yepes home run maybe tomorrow. And who knows? It should be an interesting game.
I mean, today's the pivotal.
Yeah.
Because you can't lose the series to the Nationals.
No.
They can live with a split. It's not ideal, but the math just gets harder. The more of these series that you split and you don't like actually, win a 3, get 3 or 4 in a series, or occasionally sweep a series.
Right.
Like it's winning series is great, but it puts pressure on you to literally have to win every single series.
Right.
If you get a sweep or 2, you can afford taking 1 of 3, and it doesn't just. And
the Giants, what they need to really do is they've got to find a way to get past the 4 games winning streak. They've got to put together 6-7 game winning streak. If they do that, all of a sudden everything changes. I mean, the time to go on the 7-game winning streak is like started tonight, because if you go on a 7-game winning streak, you will be the 3rd wild card next week. Because if you win tonight and then you win 3 in a row against the Tigers,
Detroit.
And then you win the first 3 against Atlanta, you've caught Atlanta. Okay. You probably surpassed Atlanta. So you want to do a 7-game win streak, Giants? This is the optimum time to start it tonight.
Yeah.
So, because if I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'd be curious, Cody, to see what the White Sox longest winning streak is this year. I wonder if it matches the Giants.
I could probably find that out. I'll start looking.
Yeah, go on to the.
You can just go through their games on ESPN.
Yeah, you can go on ESPN. Are you the better yet site is the Almanac. It'll give you each game win-loss. You'll just see WW, but you'll see a lot of L's there. L. But that one will break it right down. You can see their longest win streak.
28-89.
I mean, they're going to lose 120, aren't they?
They might lose 130.
To lose 130, you only have to.
That means they only win 4 games the rest of the season.
Yeah. It's funny how it works. They always seem to get a little bit of a streak late in the season, these teams, because, You can't take anybody lightly, though. Even when the Giants better take it to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of series, though, the Giants often will find a way to lose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to poo-poo on the Giants, but
tomorrow's forecast,
they have a 4-game winning streak.
The White Sox do? I thought so. Look at that. And the Giants have the longest. Giants have 2 4-game winning streaks this year.
Yeah. Beat Tampa May 8th through 11th. They beat Tampa and then won 3 games against the Guardians.
Wow. They swept the Guardians?
Jeez. No, it was a 4-game series. They lost
4 games.
But yeah, they took the first 3. It's crazy. Even the White Sox have a 4-game winning streak.
That's amazing. Like I seen this all the time. Even the A's last year, their record, whatever their record, didn't the A's lose like 110 plus last year?
Yeah.
They won like 7 in a row.
7 in a row.
Yeah, they won 7 in a row last year. The Giants have yet to. I mean, I don't know when they're going to do it. I just don't know.
I mean, and you know, my thing watching them right now is just like, I'm not even worried. I haven't honestly been looking that closely at the wild card standings. You know, a lot of people were talking about how many teams were still in front of them, and I'm just like, listen, they need to just worry about putting some distance between themselves and 500.
Right.
Like, get yourselves 7-8 games over 5. If you do that, like the teams in front, like that's going to take care of itself. You're going to pass a bunch of teams. But I'm like, I can't even concern myself with what the teams at the top of the wild card standings are doing right now because this team can't get over 500. Like if they can't get over 500, it doesn't matter what anyone in front of them is doing. So they just need to go on a little bit of a run, you know, win this. At minimum, take 2 of, you know, the way I look at it is you got to win 5 between Detroit and Atlanta. You got to win 5.
Oh, yeah.
And just to keep momentum going. I don't care if that means you swept Detroit and then split against Atlanta. I don't care if it means you won 2 against Detroit and won 3 against Atlanta. Just find a way to win 5 games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're playing a total of 8 games there, or 7.
Because then you get the A's and the White Sox, which the A's, as they showed, are they're not an easy team. I mean, there are teams that have beat up on them, but they can hit. So, and they've got some pop. So they're not an easy out. But then you got the White Sox. So it's like you could follow up if you can go 5-2. Then you get the 5 games against Oakland and Chicago, and you know win 3 or 4 of those, and next thing you know, you're 5, 6, 7 games over 500.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Hey, we're going to get to the minor league report now. It's 9:00. I want to just give a shout out to Cody for doing this. Guys, check out his channel at Even Year Dynasty Show. How many subs you up to now? I know it's growing. Are you past 600-700?
617, I think, is what I saw.
All right, guys. Hey,
right.
If you guys want, you know, I don't have a problem recommending other Giants channels out there, and Cody's got one of the best. I mean, you see him on our show. He's got good content. He knows baseball. He's got, you know, good takes. Go subscribe to his show, Even Year Dynasty Show. There's Giants, you know, stations popping up left and right. It seems like the last year or so. You know, NorCal Sports jumped into this arena last year and started covering the Giants, although we're not strictly Giants. We cover Niners and Warriors and other things. That's why we're called NorCal Sports. But there's a couple of channels, you know, that are just dedicated to Giants out there. Cody's show is strictly Giants baseball, right? Coverage, just even year Dynasty Show.
And even during the off season, I'll probably still be posting minimum 2 or 3 videos. I know I had a ton that I still put out last year. So
yeah. Lou says, "Damn, what is his link?" It's
I might be able to link it in there. I don't know.
See if we can link it. It's if you go to YouTube, I know if you type in Even Year Dynasty Show, and I think is it all one word, Even Year Dynasty Show, or is it
no, but
all space?
It's up to 620. A couple of you guys popped in there, so appreciate that. Let me find the link, and I'll just I'll plug it into the chat, and if
Okay,
anybody wants.
perfect. Yeah, so go check out Cody covers the minor leagues every week. We get the report here on Wednesday nights, and it's a really good, fun part of the show. And look, what I like about Cody is he was a catcher. He played the game. Catchers are the captain of the entire infield, and they call the shots. And we all know catchers make great managers in baseball. Look, so if I give an endorsement to somebody, it means they know ball. Okay, I don't just give out endorsements lightly. Okay, so if I tell you the channel's good, that means it's good, and I like content, because when I want to hear content, I want to hear analysis from people who know the game. I want to know analysis that gives me a little insight behind the scenes. I want people to be able to give information on the ins and outs, not just fluffy stuff. You can find that all over the internet. You want real baseball talk? Even Your Dynasty Show, NorCal Sports Network, the Krug Show when he covers baseball. Okay, those are the baseball channels in that I know of out there that really know the game of baseball. Hum Baby does a good job of
A lot of good draft coverage, and a lot of good other. He doesn't strictly do Giants though, but
Hum Baby,
he
Eric.
Yeah,
he covers. He's got a good channel, and he does some good stuff. I know that. I've seen a little bit of his stuff. He's got a lot of good videos he puts out, and he's a huge Giants fan. But it's more entertainment, a lot, and it's good if that's what you like. Hey, but if you want some real down analysis of the game and of the ins and outs of the game, go listen to Cody. Hopefully we do a good job here. We try to give you the best bet, what I think. I don't try and give you a homer job and tell you that the Giants are just the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're just so amazing. And I don't really get all upset when they lose, and I don't get real high when they win. The highest I've been all year was last Friday night on the Blake Snell no-hitter, because to me that was history. It was awesome. It was fun. And I had him on my fantasy team too. So that was even better. But no, seriously, I was just like, I love no-hitters. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the minor leagues. Cody, take it away.
Yeah, so a lot of movement in the minors recently, which is kind of to be expected with the draft guys starting to come in, and they've kind of crunched down the amount of minor leaguers there are in general, like the roster sizes at each level. And then with the complex league ending, you've got more guys getting pushed up. So you're starting to see some movement. You're seeing some guys get cut that were draft picks as recent as like 2 years ago and things like that, kind of the later rounds. So we've seen some movement. Guys like Charlie Saccounty went up from San Jose to Eugene. Velasquez is up in Double-A now. I kind of mentioned earlier, Ryan Reckley, Walker Martin, just kind of all bumped up to San Jose. No Rainer Arias yet. None of other than Robert Hipwell, who's their 6th rounder, the guy from Santa Clara. He's the only guy that's in San Jose so far. The other draft picks have not been, they're still in the complex league, we'll call it, even though they're not official games. So a lot of we're kind of waiting to see those guys. I'd really love to see Tibbs just get kind of pushed up pretty quickly to like high A. But that's just not what Farhan does. So I don't have that expectation. But as far as the people on the farm, kind of the people to highlight. Mason Black had a really good start, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Only threw 77 pitches, but the start before he was up at 95. So it's good to see them actually eventually throughout the season stretch out these arms. But he had a good start. Trevor McDonald's had a couple really good starts in a row. He went 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts through 79 pitches. He's a guy that I actually think he's going to be on kind of how they had Roop up early in the season. I think McDonald's going to end up being up possibly opening day next season. But I think he's probably going to be in the pen if I had to guess. Really good fastball, changeup, slider. Slider's probably his best pitch. Gets a lot of swing and miss. Couple other guys. Ragsdale struggled a lot. He's struggled since he's been up in Sacramento. Kind of unfortunate there. Grant McCray had a solid week, 8 for 22, hit 3 doubles. Also had a sweet home run robbery for anybody that saw it. If you didn't, you can probably find it on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. And or also you could, if you check out the minor league video I put out, I go usually in order of system. So whenever you go through Sacramento, the highlights in there. Richmond Velasquez has looked solid in Richmond since he's gotten the call up there. He went 6 for 24, couple doubles, doesn't look overwhelmed, which is kind of the big thing for me. Jairo Pomares, 6 for 22, a triple and a double. He probably should be in AAA, but they've got kind of a log jam in the outfield right now. Bryce Eldridge had a really big week. Power's kind of showing in Eugene. Bryce Eldridge has been arguably better in Eugene than he was in San Jose. And the power is starting to show up. So
what's your take? While you keep continuing, I just wanted to get your take on Tibbs. Do you think they're going to try and fast track him because he was kind of a mature player at Florida State, a little older. What is he, 21? But he had 3 years there, or was he 4 years or 3 years there?
20. I think he's 22.
Something.
I'd have to double check, but
maybe he's 22. But was he a 3-year or 4-year guy at Florida State?
I think he was 3, but I'm not.
Okay. But do you see them where he maybe even does the Meckler thing and makes it sometime mid next year, possibly even makes a cameo appearance, and if he does well, sticks?
I think the most aggressive timeline I could see would be end of next season. But that's going to be if he, like you said, if he Mecklers it, if he just shows up and rakes at every level. Because I do think next season he'll be starting in at least high A at the lowest. Yeah, I do believe that. I kind of want to see them push him up there early, just do it now.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Let's let him work through it.
But especially with how many outfielders they just drafted, unless they just don't plan on. But I think realistically, they'll probably put him in A-ball, and then next season they'll bump him up to high A, and he'll move as fast as his bat takes him. Because we all know what he's going to be, maybe an average outfielder defensively. Yeah. He doesn't have big speed. It's just going to be, does he hit? And if he hits, they'll fast track him.
Especially the way they. And what is going on with Meckler?
Meckler is now in Sacramento. He had kind of. They were rehabbing him, and then they kind of just were moving him up level by level. He is now in Sacramento. The Giants are kind of splitting center field reps between Meckler, McCray, and Bishop.
Meckler in center field's got to be a treat, man. Just to watch that guy run is just comical.
Y'all have heard my description of Wade Meckler chasing foul balls. And for those that haven't, if you've ever heard what they tell you when if an alligator is chasing you and they're like, oh, you should zigzag. That's what he looks like to me chasing out fly balls.
Oh my goodness.
He has no business. He misplayed a ball every game of spring training that he was out there.
Yeah. It's just crazy to watch him play. But
and he could be a good reserve guy.
Yeah.
If he could just clean up the defense.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, you were on the Eldridge. So he's up at high A now.
He already has more walks in high A than he did in San Jose, and his power's starting to show up. I mean, he's just. I think he's going to be a truly special player. I mean, the ability to cover the inner half of the plate at 6'7", just it's not normal. Like what he can do. Like that's the thing for me is I watch him take. I've seen him take an inside pitch and hit it over the left field fence down the foul line.
Does he
And
remind you of a right-handed? You mentioned the bill at 6'7", being able to handle the inside pitch. Aaron Judge is able to do that with the Yankees. Are
if
you?
he's that, then
I mean, I don't think he's got that kind of
but
power, but is he at 6'7"? Judge can turn on a ball.
yeah,
And
yeah. I mean,
how is
that's
Eldridge
respectful.
going as far as going to the opposite field? Has he shown any power there?
Yeah, he's hit like 6 or 7 home runs to left field of his
good.
13.
Good.
It's
Very
kind of insane.
Yeah, I like seeing that.
And yeah, one of them was on an inside pitch. It just like it's not normal the power he has. I mean, I remember when they drafted him, I saw a highlight of him in high school as like a 15-year-old where he hit one like 480 feet. And it's like you see that and you're just like, this guy has some insane power. And
Yeah.
the thing for me is his body hasn't matured. Like he's 19. He'll turn 20 in I think October, I believe is his birthday. It's like late October. This is a guy that he could easily put 20, 30 pounds on. He's still going to look kind of wild.
Does he start next year at AA?
I think as long as he's on the trajectory he is playing at, like assuming he doesn't just, fall off, I think he's in AA. Because the reason, if you kind of look at what he did in San Jose last season, he played 25-ish games in San Jose. And the reason he started in San Jose is I think he only had 4 extra base hits in that time frame. And right now he has, I want to say 7 or 8 since he's been in Eugene. He's got like 4 doubles and 3 homers. But like the walk rates are good. The strikeout rate is maybe a tick higher than you're used to with him. Because normally he's been around 25, 26%. It's at 27 right now. If that stabilizes down where people are accustomed to seeing it and the walk rate's up, if he just has the power, I don't see any reason he doesn't start in AA next season. And I'm one of the people that, as much as I want to see him get like fly through the system and stuff like that, I am one of the people that's like, I want his development done right. I don't want them messing with this guy. I don't want them rushing this guy. I don't like how they rush guys through the upper levels. And these guys end up with, 600-700 at bats in the lower levels. And then they get like 300 in the upper levels. And then they're in the majors and then they're getting jerked up and down because they're just not ready. And
how's he hitting for average?
At one point when I looked down today at the box score, he was right at 300 in high A.
Okay.
He was at 270, I want to say.
I'm going to give you a comp, and I know he's a left-hander and he's 6'7".
Yeah.
How we've just watched, I mean, I've been watching him for a while, but how does he look compared to James Wood of the Nationals, who's also 21 years old, 6'7"? I think Eldridge, my take is, has more power than Wood. Wood looks like he has more speed, but give us a comparison if you see any at all.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I think that's kind of fair. I think Eldridge has the potential to be a perennial 40 homer guy, even in
40 homer. Even at Oracle.
I believe it. Because to me, for a power hitter, to me, he has premium power, especially you don't teach the power he has. And I just think as his body, as he gets more experience, it's going to play more and more. That's just my opinion on watching the guy. I think Wood definitely more athletic, but I mean, defensively, he's kind of terrible in left field from what I've seen.
Yeah, he's not the greatest. Let me give you a scenario.
I know Clark's high on him at first.
Yeah, it's good. Let me give you a scenario and ask you what you think. Giants, they give it a gallant effort, but they fall a little short this year. Farhan comes back in 25. Eldridge continues to develop. Walker Martin starts to develop. Birdsong's developing.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald's a hit. Bailey continued. These are all guys I'm naming are Farhan guys.
Maybe Casey Schmidt does something.
Casey Schmidt does something, but the Giants lose again in 25. Don't make the playoffs. But these guys are coming, and then all of a sudden 26 comes around. We see Eldridge come up some point in the season. He starts raking, maybe late in the season, like a Jackson Holiday just came up. Mm-hmm. He's an eligible rookie in 27. He wins Rookie of the Year. He hits 30-plus bombs. Giants start playing better. And does Farhan get extended at that point in 27 because of it?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think he's back next season. Like, I know a lot of people want him gone. I'm not a fan of his so far. I mean,
I'm definitely not a fan, but that's okay.
I know. I've always said like I keep my opinion fluid and I give him a fair shake every season. Like right. I don't ever close myself off to changing how I feel about Farhan's ideas, the president of baseball operations. But if they don't make the playoffs let's assume they come up short this season, I don't care how good the young guys look. Next season, they better be in the playoffs. And if they're not, because the reality is he did not commit to the youth movement. If he committed to the youth movement, I'd have more leniency. He did not.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say I'm trying to win and you can't win at the major league level, go away. You don't deserve to be here.
Right.
Simple as that to me.
So if he makes the playoffs this year, even if they get bounced out, it could buy him a few more years.
It definitely buys him at least
one.
I mean, it for sure one.
Yeah, and then it buys him 25.
It starts to be what does it look like? That's where we're starting to get to.
Yeah.
Is
that's why I'm torn as a Giants fan. I get torn because I honestly think if Atlanta was playing with close to a full deck, the Giants have no chance of overtaking Atlanta.
Yeah.
But with Atlanta now, Albies out and Terrace is still out and Freed's coming back off injury, and they're just not themselves. So
nope. Yeah.
If
they're gettable.
They're definitely gettable. But I'm torn because I don't see this Giants team as much more than a 500 team. I mean, they could make a little run here if they do it well in August and get to 84, 85 wins. I don't even think that's enough to get in. I really think 86 is the minimum.
I agree.
And it may take 87.
I think 86 if you hold all the tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Which they could because they already have it on Pittsburgh and the Mets.
Right.
I mean, St. Louis, they're not going to because they lost 3. So, I mean, at best, I guess if they sweep St. Louis at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But
so, So that's why I think the Giants, the odds are, if you look at the odds, they're probably under 20%. They might have grown to 20% tonight. I don't know where they're at, but it's been around 12, 13, 14%.
Yeah.
So that can change with a good winning streak. It can just change like that, right? But where I'm torn, Cody, is as a longtime Giants fan, I don't like the way Farhan, what he's done to the organization. And I want to show you guys something. I can't download my Twitter on here, but I will show you something that I just filmed tonight watching the post game. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see what I'm doing. I want you to notice something here. Let me get this. Okay. I want you to notice something at Oracle Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fun fact, my dad and I were at that game.
Wow. Okay. Do you
My
guys?
dad texted me today. He's probably watching right now. My
Yeah.
dad texted me and he was like, "Hey, 17 years ago, we were sitting there watching Barry
Yeah.
break the record."
That was 17 years ago tonight, by the way, guys. But did you see the excitement, the crowd? And that was in a not a good team, but that was Barry. And then '08, they still were under 500. They were under 500, '05, 6, 7, and 8. '09, they went 10 games over, and then the rest is history. 10 through 14, 3 out of 5 World Series championships. But the
Yes.
place was packed. It was exciting. I want that back at Oracle, and I see nothing close to that. Even tonight, when I was watching the first home run hit by who hit the first home run tonight? Was it Ramos?
I think Ramos hit the
Yeah,
first.
made
And
it
he
1-0.
does he have the most casual 108, 109 mile per hour exit velocities?
It is, yeah. It's just it goes,
Like he barely hit it. And it
yeah. It's like unbelievable. Yeah, he's so
109.5.
strong. But I noticed the dugout. I was watching the games this year. Washington. They put the little, the
Yeah,
big hat on with the
they didn't do
flags.
anything.
The Abe
Giants.
Lincoln or whatever Uncle Sam hat or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
The Giants tonight when Ramos came in, it was like, hey, there was no excitement,
yeah.
none. And I'm telling you, I'm thinking to myself, what's wrong with this team? You're fighting for your season right now, and you got a shot making a run,
Yeah.
and you don't even look that excited. They didn't even they didn't even like look at him. They just gave him a little fight, and there's and you watch all the other teams, and they're all excited. But anyway, I digress. Let me get back to your report here. I want you to finish what you get through the whole
Yeah.
system there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of Eldridge was the last big one. Whitman has struggled his last couple outings.
Joe
And
Whitman,
yeah,
okay.
Joe. I mean, he's had a couple rough outings. I mean, it happens. Kind of. Sure,
He's the
he's
guy they
probably
got for Mad Bum, right? Wasn't he the compensatory pick that or
he
was it
might have
Mad?
been. He might have been Rodon.
Oh, Rodon, that's right.
I
That's right.
think
It was
he's the
Rodon.
right
Mad
one.
Bum was Wizenhut, I
Yeah,
think.
might
I'm
have
not,
been. I'm not. I
yeah.
can never remember who
Yeah.
got which picks were gone.
Yeah.
That sounds about right, though. He struggled the last few. Jonah Cox is still kind of struggling a little bit down in IA. Did steal a couple more bags. He's got to be pushing close to 60 stolen bases on the
Wow.
season. Somebody I was talking to the other day said that if you took all his stolen bases since being in the minor leagues and did it on a 162 game pace, he's on like over 100 stolen base pace over 162
Wow.
games.
Wow.
He can move.
Wow.
Quinn McDaniel kind of struggled 5 for 25, hit a homer though. He's got kind of a smaller frame, but he's got like sneaky power and he's got some good speed. Ricky, who comes on my show all the time, him and I are like, we both really like Diego Velasquez and Quinn McDaniel. He's a little higher on McDaniel than I am, and I'm a little higher than Velasquez. But McDaniel definitely is the toolsier of the two with the power speed combo. I like Velasquez because he just seems to have a more natural, hit tool. Like he just naturally kind of rakes, which I like. So, and then Charlie County, he's kind of someone mentioned him as like, is this year's Meckler, kind of older prospect that just shows up and hits the crap out of the ball at every single level, and he's done that so far in A ball and high A. Now he got a late start because he didn't get healthy until May, so he didn't have the Meckler start where he just shot through 3 levels. But he's a guy I wouldn't be shocked to see if he rips up through double A and triple A next season. He ends up in Sacramento at some point in 2025. But yeah, he had another good week. And then Ceballos, I can never pronounce the names right.
The guy in the trade for
hit a couple
for
homers.
Soler. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't write down his whole week's numbers, but he did have a couple homers. I know that. Thought it was kind of funny that they trade for him and he had 3 home runs on the season and he knocked 2 out in a week. So And then San Jose was pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of action there.
Okay.
Hipwell hit a home run.
Okay.
I think the reason he's probably the first guy to we're seeing is I think he signed super fast, and then with him being in Santa Clara, it seems like they just kind of were able to move it quickly.
Yeah. Real quick, Kyle Soder says, where did Luciano go? I haven't seen him in a while. Did he have a one bad game and get the Farhan treatment again? Yeah, he's basically on the bench. Melvin's pretty much saying that the games are on the line counting, and he can't, promise these young guys their bats.
This is the stuff that pisses me off, honestly. Like, why even come out and open your mouth and say that, we want to give him a longer look when you trade Soler just to get to 500, because they were only 2 games under when they made the trade, to get to 500, and now you're saying the games are too important. Like, he's 3 for 17 or whatever since he's come back with like 8 strikeouts. Like, yeah, the strikeouts aren't great. He's not looked great, but guess what? In the history of baseball, I could find a 17 at bat stretch that's terrible for every hitter in the history of baseball. Like, that's going to happen. And if you really want to develop these guys, you've just got to let them go through the lumps. And if you can't afford one guy that's young to go through his lumps, then that's kind of an indictment on your roster construction, because that clearly you didn't put together a good enough team. And if we're really relying on Mark Canha, like,
oh gosh, come on. Oh my goodness, he's this year's AJ Pollock.
Well, he at least has a hit, so he's not as bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so
he has a hit. But Pollock had a catch. Didn't he have a decent catch last year in his 1 or 2 games that he played? I can't even remember.
I think he did.
Oh, my goodness.
And then one last guy I was going to highlight is Johnny Level, who was their top international signee.
Right.
He had another really good week, 8 for 18, 2 home runs, a double, 5 walks, and only 2 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
He's been, the numbers aren't like eye-popping or anything down in the DSL, but they are really good. He's hitting 272 with an 876 OPS. I think he actually hit another home run this week. He has 7 homers, 16 stolen bases in like 147 at bats. He's only 17 years old. He's going to turn 18 in March, right before the season starts next season. So he drew, he was like 36th ranked international prospect. People were kind of bagging on the Giants, signing class last season, and he looks like a player. You just never know. It's a total crapshoot, just like the draft, just like everything. So I heard Rafael Furcal comps for him when they were getting him. So people that remember him, that's an all-star shortstop at one point. So
hey, I see your comment there, Adi. Looking at, I'm thinking tomorrow night. I was hoping to get Vince Russo on here tonight, but maybe tomorrow night. I want to get the rest of these squares sold. Tomorrow night we may have to do a telethon type deal. We may have to really push it hard. So we got a couple squares sold today. I got or last night. Let me give you an update on that. So I let him know who that was. Richard. Yeah. Richard from the chat bought 3 squares. So we'll be picking those numbers for him randomly. So I want to thank Richard for that. But you mentioned, McRae earlier on.
Yeah.
What do you see him getting called up in September? They got to make him he's going to be Rule 5 eligible.
Yeah.
Here's my take on this. This is mine. See if you agree or not.
Yeah.
And you it's fine to disagree. I think if the Giants are out of it by mid-September, which we'll see, if I think they DFA Canha and just say, you know what, we're going to bring up, get to expand our roster from 26 to 28. We move off of Canha. We've got now 3 open 40 spots. Let's give Bishop one, and let's give McCray one, because we have to make them Rule 5. They're Rule 5 eligible. So if we don't put them on the 40, they're gone. You can always DFA them, but if you don't protect them, you might
McCray will definitely get picked.
Yeah, I'm almost it's nice to see the Giants, win, make the playoffs, but in another way, I almost want to see a few weeks of Bishop and McCray if they're not in it, and also maybe that makes the hiatus of Farhan quicker. Because I'm of the belief, I know a lot of people don't. I think if the Giants fade, and if they do anything like they did last year by fading with the bats and the bullpen, I think the noise could get very high and loud amongst Bay Area media people calling for Farhan's head, and not literally speaking, guys. This isn't, we're not talking,
we're not French Revolutioning.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what was that story I think there was a story in the Bible. Some woman wanted a guy's head on a platter and something like that. So they did. Yeah. We're not calling for Farhan's literal head. We're just figuratively, we're speaking of terms of getting the axe, okay, on the job. But that would, it's, so what do you think? Do you think McCray, who does Bishop get a shot if the Giants are out of it this year, or are they just going to let him go on to?
I don't think he this season. I don't know if they'll add Bishop to the 40, if I'm being honest. They might. We'll really find out what Farhan thinks of him. I do think McCray gets added, especially with what he's doing in Sacramento right now. The zone is obviously a little tighter in the PCL with the challenge system and everything like that. And one of the things about McCray is he has a good eye. He's constantly had really good walk rates at every level. But his strikeout rate is down like 24%.
Wow.
In the piece, in AAA, where it's been 29 to 30 plus at every other level. Now it's, it stabilizes typically. He'll probably take now that I said this, he'll have the sombrero tomorrow, but he's been doing really well there. The power's showing. He's hit some homers. He's had some doubles, some triples. He stole today. I think he had a double. He had 3 legs of the cycle and stole a bag. I'm pretty sure today. Yesterday he hit one out. I think in the later part of the game he had a home run. He's just a solid player, really good defensively. And if it was me, he would be. When you do expand the rosters to 28 and you can go 14 position players, 14 pitchers. McCray would be my 14th guy. I would let him play every day in Sacramento the rest of August. And then September 1st, he'd be getting called up, because even if you're not going to play him a ton even if he's not going to get a ton of at bats, he's a perfect guy to have as a pinch runner, as a late inning defensive replacement. I mean, if you have a lead late in a game, being able to use to have put him in for Conforto and shift Ramos over to left field and have Ramos, McCray, and Yaz across your outfield, like that's a really good defensive outfield right there. So
Let me ask you this: who's a better center fielder, McCray or Lee?
I think Lee's more polished. I don't think McCray is a perfect prospect. Like, I know there are some things that he needs to work on with his first step. I know there's talk that he's not always like set on time. Like, it's things that he can be coached up on. It's not natural ability.
Okay.
But I think upside wise, I think McCray has the upside to be like a genuine Gold Glove defender in center. Like, he's got insane range. He's got a good arm, definitely above average arm. And it's just, and his reaction times and everything are good. He just doesn't, I've just heard some things little things like that. I think Lee is more polished though. But his routes are good. Everything I've seen with him out there, like he
Yeah.
looks really good.
So is there room for Matos?
I mean, they could always make room. That's the they could, but I just
Penciled
to
in is
me,
two-thirds of the outfield for next year opening day looks like it's Ramos and Lee, right?
yeah. And realistically, Yaz is probably going to be back.
Yeah.
He's got one more ARB year. I do
Yeah.
think next year will be the end of it for Yaz. I don't think they'll go beyond next season,
He's having a
but
decent year, but he's a
he
fourth
is.
outfielder. He's a fourth outfielder. I don't mind him as the fourth outfielder. Occasional starts, pinch hit. I
think Matos might just end up being trade bait.
wow.
Honestly, I really like him, but until he kind of just does, unfortunately, this is the sad thing is until Matos just kind of takes the job and
Mhm.
holds on to it like Ramos did. I mean, Ramos took the job and just death gripped it and was like, there is no chance in hell you are taking this from me. And, he just put a stranglehold on it. And unless Matos does that, I mean, look at what's coming. You have McRae and Bishop are already down there. Now, Bishop's not doing great in Sacramento. Like, he's just kind of there. But McRae's doing pretty well. Jairo
Yeah.
Pomares in Double-A. I mean, they just invested in so many outfielders in this draft. I mean, there is a
Right.
clear message. It's like you better perform or you're going to get passed by
Yeah.
multiple prospects.
What's going on with Von
And
Brown? Is his days numbered?
yeah, he's in high A now. I mean,
High A. He went
yeah,
from Double-A back to High A, and he's like
they went
26.
to Double-A to like complex league, and he was on a developmental list.
Oh my goodness.
And now he's in high A, and I mean, I haven't really looked at his numbers.
And
I
he's
know
he's
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 done a little bit,
26
but
too. I mean, they were
I mean,
really high on him going into 23 spring training. They
yeah,
thought he might make it up to the big club at some point last year.
I don't see a spot for him. I mean, this is a guy that struck out 50% of the time in Double-A.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone kind of gets on McRae about his swing and miss, and I'm like, McRae didn't strike out 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is a whole different level. So I mean, he's probably a guy that's going to be getting moved on from sooner than later. He's still toolsy, so they might like him, but
Yeah.
I could see Matos because the one that got floated out there, because I'm sure you saw the rumor was that the Giants were interested in going after Vladdy, but the
Right.
Blue Jays did not want to trade Vladdy.
Yeah.
I think Toronto's going to attempt to figure out an extension, and if they don't, I do think they're going to be in a spot where it is smarter to move them in the offseason than it is to wait, because
Right.
you're going to get more from him in the offseason than
Correct.
if you wait all the way until the
Correct.
trade deadline, because
Correct.
teams are going to be more willing to give up something when you give them all year to get an extension. And I mean, I saw some people floating things out there as like, would you trade Eldridge for Vladdy if you could get an extension? And I'm like, no, because ideally I want those two guys in the middle of my order in a couple of years, even though they both play first. Figure it out. I don't care if one of them's got a DH. Like, Vladdy's not a great defender. I don't care if you need to move Eldridge to the left field or something. Like, you just figure it out. But I could see, Matos being part of a package for someone like that if that's what they decided to try and pursue.
Wow.
So, and I like the guy. I love his hit tool. I think they got in his head in the offseason and tried to turn him into a power hitter. And he's not. Like, it's just.
Yeah. It's but what do you know? I mean, what can you do? I mean, these guys, it's tough. It's tough to make it the big leagues. It's even tougher to stick.
Yeah.
It's they say getting to the big leagues is tough, but I've heard it said before, sticking is even harder. So,
and Ramos, in some respects, has been lucky as far as his timing goes, that he was kind of the first, and he was so far ahead of any of the other premium outfield prospects,
right?
Like, timeline wise, because I don't think Matos is going to get allotted 3 years of struggles or 2 years of struggles in AAA and majors and not establishing himself. Like, I don't think they're going to give him the amount of time. Yes, they jerked Ramos up and down, and no, I don't think any of us agree with the way he was handled, but he was able to hang around in the organization for several years before he finally, took off. And I don't think Matos is going to be able to do that without getting passed if he keeps doing what he does, or has done, I should say. So it's just tough. I mean, it's a competitive environment. You're not just competing against other teams, you're competing with the other guys in your system. And when you have Meckler and McRae and Pamaris and all, Tibbs might rip through the system, and it's just it at some point Farhan's going to have to start moving some guys while they have value before they completely use up the value of every prospect. So I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Well, guys, we tomorrow night we want to push the squares. If you guys want to get squares, I know I've got 3 here set up from Richard, and let me check my Venmo. I may have gotten some from Ben Bamboo in the chat. He was trying to send some earlier. I haven't seen it yet, but that doesn't mean so. So we add this to the we will get this going. So guys, it'll be great when we do this, get this settled, pick a winner on this. Maybe who knows, we'll see. We might want to try and do 2 different winners, but tomorrow night, guys, you going live tomorrow night? Is Thursday nights one of your nights you go live, Cody?
I don't know what time yet. Okay. I got to talk to the other 2 guys, figure out what time they get home and all that.
All right.
So it might be
tomorrow night. We'll be going live here at 8:00, guys, and then we'll try to get that drawing. I can't, it could get pushed into Friday night. I'd prefer to do it tomorrow, but also would like to try to sell the rest of these. We've got about 30 or a little under 30 left, but I want to thank our guest, Cody from Even Year Dynasty Show. And he's, as you can tell, he knows his stuff. He's got everything. All the takes here. Tomorrow, Giants take on the Washington Nationals, go for the series win. It's going to be Kyle Harrison on the mound. I don't know if I have a take on this one tomorrow, Cody. I usually try.
I could see any range of outcomes with this.
And we could even have, the worst thing would be for the Giants. The game starts at 9. That's a noon game. They may be trying to squeeze it in with weather. The worst thing would be for the Giants to start the game, gets a little delay, doesn't get started back until 7:00. They don't finish the game until 10:00, 10:30 Eastern.
Let's get 5.
and they get a late flight, and they're flying all night long across the back to San Francisco. So we'll see. But you want a happy flight, but it's going to be tough. Washington's a good hitting team, and you know what else they are? Is they're a good fastball hitting team. And Harrison, if he doesn't have control of the curveball, and they wait on the fastball, and the other thing is if the curveball it's a hanging curveball.
Yeah. His changeup's going to be big tomorrow. It's going to be an important pitch.
Yeah.
And the thing that concerns me throwing Harrison against them is the one thing Washington's done really well this series is they foul off a lot of pitches.
Oh yeah.
They are kind of they grind at bats.
They do.
Like I'm impressed with the way the quality of their bats, where they'll foul off a lot of tough pitches. They'll make pitchers throw a ton of pitches and work. And I don't know how well that bodes for a guy like Harrison, who can be a little scatter shot towards the plate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if he starts giving up the long ball, because we know he has a tendency to do that. So we got to be very careful with that. But guys, catch us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Giants tomorrow, 9 o'clock. And I want to thank you guys for joining. Really appreciate you. NorCal Sports Network. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. It means a lot to the show and to the algorithms. Not begging, just asking, as can't make you do it, but would appreciate it. Yeah. Also, if you haven't subbed, hit the subscribe button. It helps also with the algorithms, and we're pushing onward and upwards. Hopefully we can hit 2,500 soon, and then 3,000 and keep growing. We got 49er football coming your way this year. Golden State Warriors will be doing post-game shows for both teams, and we'll be giving you content during the week, analysis. So stick with us. Tomorrow, I think the U.S. plays Serbia in the men's basketball Olympics. Maybe I'll hop on and do a little post-game after that, just to see, get a little talk on that. But anyway, guys, we're out of here. So thanks again for joining. Don't forget to check out Cody's channel, Even Year Dynasty Show. Go over there and subscribe. He's got good stuff, good content. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.